Joel said, y'all ain't got no shit for the bitches. Shout out to DJ Technician. That nigga throwing the Mariah Carey shit. I said, oh, shit.
God damn! God damn!
What it is, what it do. Welcome back to my channel, Capital J. Today we're gonna be doing an episode on Cameron. He's doing a video with his podcast, Talk with Flea. And what he's gonna be discussing today is the famous versus Dipset versus The Lock. Took place back in 2021, September 2021 to be exact. And what he's gonna be discussing is what took place prior, presently, and immediately after the verses. So let's get into it.
Listen, the first question is from P. Mason from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he wants to know about the verses. And he wants to know, how did the verses come about, number one, and two, how did you feel about taking a loss to the Locks?
That's a real good question. I like that. I like that we're starting the show with this. I really do. I like that. First and foremost, let me say this. I don't like losing never. I never like losing. But if I had to lose to anybody and still live with it and not be that mad or be upset about it, it's the Locks. My brothers, those are my niggas. Like, you know, they got on probably a year before me. It's them and Mace that got on, then I got on. So those is my niggas, and that was well-deserved, man, because I think the Locks don't get a lot of credit that they deserve, man. So if I had to lose to anybody and be like, oh, well, it's them niggas. Kiss, Styles, Chic, they deserve that, man. Shout out to DY, Rough Riders, all related. They're my big brothers, too. Now, back to the question, the verses, how it came about. We about to go on tour. Dipset and the Locks. I'm negotiating the deal. The deal is at $1.5 million right now. I'm talking about like if it was today.
Right.
I think it was 1.5, 1.8. And we was only at like 10 cities. So I'm like, they said, Cam, we gonna balloon the show up to 25, 30 cities. It could go anywhere from $3 to $4 million. I said, cool. Let me talk to the fellas, figure this out. So everybody's on the same page. We're getting it done. Cool. Then the versus situation come out of nowhere, probably 2 weeks after this. So Jim is like, yo, let's do the verses. Let's do the verses. And I'm like, nah, Jim, we got money on the line. How much they talking about? And it really wasn't a money play at first. It wasn't even about no fucking money. And I said, let me do some homework. I ignored the whole shit. I ignored it for a while. I'm like, I'm not even paying that shit no mind. We got a tour coming up. If they want to do the verses after the tour, we'll do the verses after the tour.
Right.
Cabo come to me again. He said, Flea, what's up with the verses? I said, Cabo, we could do it after we do the tour. How much they got? So I finally talked to my homegirl, Melissa, talked to Swiss, whatever. They ain't talking about nothing. They talking about 100,000 for everybody. 100 racks for everybody.
So like 15,000 a piece for everybody.
There's 6 niggas. It's 6 niggas. They want 100,000. I just told you I had 1.5, 1.8 on the table for the tour. Could have ballooned up to $3-4 million.
Right.
I say, yo, listen, Swiss, what are we doing here? Yo, that's all we got. I said, I ain't doing it, bro. I can't do it. Well, what you want? Not that. I want way more than that. So I got the number up to like 500,000, something like that. This for everybody still.
Right.
I'm like, nah, bro, this ain't even 100,000 for everybody. So Kiss hit me. He like, Killer, I knew you get that number up. I knew you get that number up, nigga. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get the number up, man. We gonna get the number up, but we got a tour that's worth way more than this. Why are we doing this? Let's do it after the tour. So Capo like, Cam is in Madison Square Garden. They have a fight that night. The camera's gonna be set up, this, that, and the third. They can't do it another time. I'm like, nah, bro, I ain't doing this shit. So Capo said to me,
At that point, Cam is right. Yo, y'all got a tour that Jim at this point is well aware of. There's a tour where everybody can make about $1 million. Jim is more focused on performing in Madison Square Garden, and we're thankful that it happened. But also from just an individual standpoint, from individuals and groups, he had you performing in 30 cities for over $1 million. And you want to perform in Madison Square Garden, which probably was part of the tour. Pretty sure it was part of the tour. Pretty sure they don't have 30 cities and New York is in one of the cities.
Cam, every dollar I make from this verses, I will give to you. I just want to perform in the Garden again. So I'm like, damn, Cabo really want to perform, do this verses. I'm like, if he wanted to give up all the money he making, I mean, he really want to do this.
Right.
All right, fuck it, let's do it. All right, now I got to start negotiating with Thriller, whatever the fuck.
Triller.
I got to start calling them because I'm like, if this nigga want to give up all this money, I'm not going to take Capo money, but that's how bad he wanted to do it. So I call Swiss, I call Triller people. I can't remember their name. My homegirl, Melissa, worked for them. And I ran the number up. Now, I ain't going to tell you what they got. They got more than that. I worked it out so niggas got more than that. So I'm like, now I got to start working out for me because we got a tour on the table and now they got to wait. Now, the people that's doing the tour, they don't want to do us to do the verses because they feel like if people see us do the verses, the tour ain't going to sell no tickets because they already seen all the songs.
That's facts. So, and this is what Cam was trying to get Jim to see. I don't know the dialogue between Cam and Jim on the phone calls or face-to-face conversations. But this is what Cam was trying to explain to Jim. Yo, we have a tour that's worth way more money. And more than likely during the tour, we probably gonna touch New York. And we could do the verses. We need to actually do the verses after the tour because like Cam just said, they don't, if we see what y'all gonna do, then people not going, because now we could just rewatch the verses instead of buying tickets to the show. Even though diehard fans are still gonna go to the show, but still, it's still money. You leaving money on the table if you do this verses before the tour. Now remember Cam said this. Remember Cam said that he went ahead and agreed to do the verses as a favor for Jim because this is gonna come up a little bit later.
Felt them. So I said, all right, cool. Everybody was happy with what they got. I said, I'm not happy because the tour's not happening. I need 25% of the door. He said, all right, bet. I said, I need an additional 25% for putting this whole shit together because I wasn't gonna do it. If my brother ain't say he was willing to give me all his money, I would have just had me and him would have just argued. But I said, this is how passionate he was to want to do it. I negotiated stock in Triller. I said, I need some of the stock money that's in Triller.
You had an Al Heyman deal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't finish telling you. I said, I need some of the stock that's in Triller too. I need part of the company. They said, all right, Killer, now you wildin'. I said, I'm not wildin'. Matter of fact, I need 6 beats from Swiss and 6 beats from Timberland too. They said, all right, what else you want? I said, let me think, nigga. I ain't finished thinking. Let me think of what else I want. Everything I asked for, they just kept giving it to me. So I ended up getting stock in Triller, 25% of the door, another 20% for putting the deal together, the beats from Swiss, the beats from Timberland, which I didn't never use them yet because I wasn't really on the music thing the last couple of years just for fun. And the back end, if they sold out, I sat some of the back end, pause. So that's why I ended up doing the deal because I didn't even want to do the shit. I remember us all in the studio talking about Dipset. And you know, we like listening to the shit, to lock songs. And I just see everybody, not just Dipset, because there's other niggas in the studio. Shout out to my man Shula, there's a few niggas. And niggas just was like, damn, I forgot about that. Oh shit, I forgot they had that one. I'm just sitting there like, this is what niggas wanted, right? Let's do it. But we still was prepared, we was ready. Now that was the first verses that went the way it went. Usually verses go, you do a song, they do a song. We do a song, they do a song. They just took advantage of opportunity, started ringing off songs back to back to back. Back niggas start talking crazy. Nigga Joel said, y'all ain't got no shit for the bitches. That nigga, shout out to DJ Technician. That nigga throwing the Mariah Carey shit. I said, oh shit.
God damn! God damn! God damn! What? Fuck!
This ain't going right. Then when Jadakiss threw the fucking Biggie shit on, I said, nope, this ain't going right. This is not right. Now, mind you, we losing bad the whole night from the beginning. So I had a freestyle ready that I was going to do towards the end of the night. But we was down so bad when I was about to do it, the crowd didn't even want to hear it and started booing. I was like, this is just fucked up. Everything went left that night. What happens the next day? The tour people call. We're gonna have to cancel this tour. What happened? Why'd the tour cancel? Because it was a part of the show where Styles sat on my beach chair and we got to a little, a brotherly little tussle. It wasn't nothing. I went and seen Styles the next day, gave him a hug. That's my brother. But the tour people was like, that didn't look safe. And I'm like, nah, that's my man. It wasn't even like that. They're like, no. And then it was mention of gang-related activity while you guys were on stage. So Chicago dropped out, Milwaukee dropped out, and St. Louis dropped out because it was, people mentioning stuff about gangs on stage. And we're gonna have to reconsider the whole tour.
So Cam had the tour set up. Jim wanted to do the verses. Cam says, nah, let's do the verses after the tour. We don't want you, it's a bigger opportunity over there. Jim, he just wants to perform in the Garden. They do it. Cam also had to go and negotiate it because they was talking about 100,000 a piece. Not a piece, 100,000 split between 6 people. And Cam has to go in. So Jim tells Cam, yo, let's do the verses. Cam now has to go and set and negotiate the verses, the money for the verses. Jim, according to what Cam said, Jim ain't do no negotiation. What people don't understand is it's taxing to have to sit down and negotiate things with people and deal with other personalities and, you know what I'm saying, what you got versus what you want to give me versus what I want. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand that aspect. Cam just explained it. Cam didn't want nothing to do with the verses because he had the tour set up that he negotiated. He did a favor for Jim because Jim wanted to perform and potentially jeopardizing the tour because he pointed out that if you do the verses, you're going to lose money on the tour because now people see pretty much how the tour is going to go in the verses. Cam negotiates the verses. They do the verses and lose the tour the very next day.
So now think about this. Niggas got, I make sure niggas got 6 digits or whatever, everybody. But niggas could have got high 6 digits because not just 4 million from the tour possibly, merch, after parties, everything else that comes with a tour, niggas would have made $1 million a piece, minimum, everybody.
Yeah.
For that, and it didn't happen. Now, Jadakiss probably went on his own tour by himself and racked the fuck up.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
And it's well deserved because, like I said, those are my brothers, and I feel that they don't get the recognition that they're supposed to get. So
right.
That's how the whole versus situation went. I didn't want to do it. We had money. Not saying I wouldn't have did it after the tour. Did it before the tour. Fucked the tour money up, and niggas got shorties. That's my opinion on it. But
this honestly explains the fallout between Jim Jones and Cam because Cam put Jim Jones up to make $1 million, so to speak, on the tour. And Jim, it's not 100% Jim's fault, but Cam didn't want to do the verses. And now you lost money because you wanted to do the verses because you wanted to perform in the Garden. So now I understand why certain friendships, they dissolve beyond repair because he had you set up and now he doing you a favor, and then this opportunity that he had for you, you smoked it. You smoked it because you couldn't see the bigger picture. So now I understand better in my own terms based on this interview. I understand in my own terms why Cam and Jim Jones fell out. And obviously we don't want to see that, but listen, there's a justification for it. If it's necessary, it's necessary. We're not going to get into friends, you know what I'm saying, and all that other stuff. But I completely understand why it's like, yo, it's like whatever, man, because I did you a favor and this is what I get in return. We lost the whole tour. Comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Cam did right by Jim? Do you think Jim did right by Cam? Do you appreciate the fact that Cam actually went through it and we got a monumental historical point in hip hop history? But definitely let me know in the comment section what you think about it. I personally believe that, Cam, looking back, 2020 is hindsight. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to look back and say what you should have did, but what's done is done. It is what it is. But yeah, let me know what you think.